Chapter 380, Reward. After hearing his words, Li Chenmo led them to the house without saying a word. When they entered the living room, he said, "Comrade, please have a seat." After they sat down, he poured them a cup of tea and said, "Comrade, I don't recall I did something that deserves a reward. Is there any misunderstanding here?" The middle-aged men looked at each other and smiled. One of them took out an envelope from his clothes, put it on the table and said, "Comrade Li, the brigade has decided to reward you because you and your wife have made great contributions to the country. The pig feed formula you gave to the government is very important for increasing the weight of pigs. So far, it has shown a good result. In addition, the quality of pig manure is also increasing, which can improve the quality and growth of vegetables and help us solve the shortage of grain and fresh vegetables. You also contribute to the brigade by sending your pig manure to solve our fertilizer shortage problem. Although you said you didn't want a reward, the brigade leader felt that we should express our gratitude to you and your wife for your hard work," he added with a smile. Li Chenmo nodded and said, "I have learned about this reward system from Comrade Jiang before, and asked him to give the rewards to the production team. There are many elderly people and some orphans who need the government's help more than my wife and I." A middle-aged man smiled and said, "Comrade Li, you don't have to worry about this. We have informed Comrade Han that your production team will enjoy a 15% tax discount this year and prioritize the orphans and the elderly. This reward is a personal reward for you." Before Li Chenmo could refuse, another man added, "Please don't refuse. You and your wife deserve this reward." Seeing that they insisted on him accepting the reward, Li Chenmo nodded and said, "Please express my gratitude to the brigade leaders on my behalf. My wife and I will work harder and contribute to the country." Hearing his words, the two middle-aged men were satisfied. They need more motivated young people so that they can successfully implement the government's work planning. They chatted for a while and then prepared to leave. Before they took their leave, Li Chenmo went to get some vegetables in the backyard for them. He handed the small package over and said, "Comrade, this is just a small gesture. Thank you for visiting me." The two middle-aged men were accustomed to accepting gifts of thanks and did not refuse. After thanking him, they left in a happy mood. After locking the door, Li Chenmo walked to the backyard. Lu Jiu saw him coming and asked, "Husband, who came just now?" Li Chenmo handed the envelope to his wife and said, "The leaders of the brigade sent two comrades to visit us. They are here to deliver this reward." Lu Jiu took the envelope and asked, "Reward? We didn't do anything worthy of reward. Is there some misunderstanding?" When Li Chenmo heard similar words, he smiled and said, "It's a feed formula for pigs." After hearing his words, Lu Jiu remembered that she had indeed provided the pig feed formula to the brigade. Since the formula was from hers, she did not refuse and opened the envelope. The envelope contained a wad of money. Judging from the amount, it should be around 3,000 to 4,000 yuan. The government is really generous, but comparing the benefits of the pig feed formula and the money, the government actually benefited more. She used her sleeves as a cover to put the money into her space and continued harvesting cucumbers and cherry tomatoes. After work was over, the sun was already high overhead. Seeing that the clothes of Dong Li and Dong Huang were soaked with sweat, Lu Jiu said, "Ziro Lei, Ziro Huang, both of you go and have a rest. Auntie already cut the watermelon, you go to the kitchen to get it." When they heard that they could eat watermelon, they were very happy. They quickly washed their hands and faces, and then went to the kitchen to get the watermelon. Due to the Qingming festival, the school was closed for 2 days and reopened the day after the festival. Children either help their families at home or go to the graveyard with their parents to clean the tombs of their ancestors and pay homage to their ancestors. Tomorrow, Dong Li and Dong Huang will go to the graveyard with the Li family and the Lu family to sweep their parents' tombs. For the Dong siblings' offerings, Lu Jiu had prepared some snacks for them. However, the two of them still wanted to go to the foothills to pick some wild fruits and flowers for their parents, so they don't come after lunch. While they were busy preparing for the Qingming festival, Su Anna finally succeeded in convincing De Gao to let her go to the county seat. At this moment, both of them were walking on the dirt road, their clothes soaked with sweat. Feeling the sticky clothes sticking to her body, Su Anna was very annoyed. She had already asked De Gao to ride the bullock cart, and she was willing to pay Zhang Ermu 10 cents, but her suggestion was rejected by De Gao. He said it was a waste of money since they could walk there. Even taking a bullock cart would take more than an hour to reach the county seat, not to mention by walking. It takes them 2 to 3 hours to walk there. Now, they wasted 3 hours on the road, and it was already noon when they arrived at the county seat. Seeing her displeased expression, De Gao knew that he had miscalculated the time. but being the man he is, he refuses to apologize and instead takes a hard stance. He cleared his throat and said, "Anna, we have to go back in 2 hours at most. Is there anywhere you want to go?" Hearing de Gao's words, Anna's anger became even more intense. Just to stay in the county for 2 hours, she would need to walk for 6 hours back and forth. Not to mention how tired she was. How could she still have time to take a stroll in such hot weather? Thinking that she still needed to send a telegram to Zyro Yiguan, she gritted her teeth and held back her anger, forcing herself to say softly, "De Gao, I want to send a telegram to my family. After all, we are getting married, and I need to inform them of our situation." When de Gao heard her words, his eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his face. He nodded and said, "Anna, I forgot about this. You are right, we must inform your parents. How about we visit your parents after the summer harvest?" Anna nodded with a stiff smile and said, "Okay, then let's go to the post office first." "All right." De Gao was very happy and wanted to hold her hand, but when he saw her avoiding his touch, he frowned and looked at her with a displeased gaze. Seeing this, Anna quickly added, "We are in a public place." After hearing this, de Gao's expression softened, and he said teasingly, "I understand. Let's wait until we go home." Anna could no longer suppress the disgust in her heart, and quickly turned away from de Gao to hide her expression, and walked to the post office. De Gao followed her with a satisfied smile. When they arrived at the post office, Anna said to de Gao, "De Gao, wait for me here. I went to send a telegram first." Since he was illiterate, he couldn't understand what she was writing, so de Gao agreed and waited for her at the door. Seeing that he agreed, Anna breathed a sigh of relief. She quickly walked to the counter and said, "Comrade, I want to send a telegram." The post office clerk nodded and handed her a piece of paper and a pen. Anna wrote down Zyro Yiguan's name, address, and her telegram. Since telegrams were measured by word count, she wrote only a few simple lines. "Brother Yiguan, please help me leave Zai village. This is urgent. Anna." After she finished writing the message, she paid and left. She would come back to check the telegram before returning to the village. Since Zyro Yiguan held a position in the military, any telegram sent to him would be given priority. Therefore, she should be able to receive his reply within an hour. At the same time, in the capital, Zyro Yiguan was working in his office when he suddenly heard a knock on the door. Without taking his eyes away from the documents in front of him, he said, "Please come in." Opening the door, the subordinate walked into the office. He saluted him and said, "First Sergeant, there is a telegram for you." After saying that, he put the small piece of paper on his desk, saluted again, and left the office. Zyro Yiguan signed the document, then put down his pen and read the telegram. When he finished reading the telegram, the corners of his mouth raised. His eyes darkened and he said coldly, Anna, if you don't send this telegram, I might forget about what you have done to my sister and let you go, since you took the initiative to contact me. I should return the favor my sister owes you, including the interest." After saying that, he tore the paper into pieces and dialed the phone. On the fourth ring, a female voice came from the other end of the phone. "Hello, who is it?" "Hello, Madame Cheng, this is Zyro Yiguan." After a pause, Madame Cheng let out a seductive laugh and said, "So, it's young Master Zyro, what can I do for you?" Zyro Yiguan tapped his fingers on the table and said, "I heard that Madame Cheng accepted the investigation job. I was wondering if I could ask for your help." "As long as the price is right, I won't refuse. Young Master Zyro, how much are you willing to pay?" 3,000 yuan. After a while, Madame Cheng said with a chuckle, "Although I have never taken on such a low-level job, because of your handsomeness, I will give you face. Tell me, what do you want to know?" "I want you to find out everything about Anna and the Su family. She lives in Zai village and is one of the educated youth sent by the government 2 years ago. It would be better if you could find any information that can put her in jail." Zyro Yiguan slowly said. Madame Cheng laughed and said, "Okay, give me 2 days and I will send you the information. When my person comes to see you, you can give him the money." After saying that, she hung up the phone and looked at the man sitting in front of her. She picked up the teacup, took a sip of tea and said, "Boss, it seems you don't need to pay attention to that Anna. Madame's brother has already taken action." Musique held a pair of wedding rings and observed it carefully. "Then you can send that information to him. You don't have to interfere with Anna's matters anymore." After saying that, he stood up and left the room without looking back. After he left, Madame Cheng sighed and whispered with a hint of envy, "Zyro Yiguan, you are so lucky to be loved by him." Anna didn't know that she had brought not only her own destruction, but also the destruction of her family. She went to the post office to check whether she had received the telegram or not before returning to Zai village. When the post office clerk saw her coming again, he asked, "Comrade, is there anything I can do for you?" Su-Anna glanced at Gao, who was waiting for her outside, and asked in a low voice, "Comrade, do you have a telegram for me? My name is Su-Anna." "Please wait a moment." After checking for a while, the post office clerk placed a piece of paper on the counter and said, "Here's your telegram." The moment she saw the telegram, Su-Anna was overjoyed. She read the telegram quickly, with a bright smile on her face. "Comrade Su, it will take 4 to 5 days before my men reach Zai village. Be safe." When she saw the words "be safe," she felt her heart beating fast. She didn't know if Zyro Yiguan had feelings for her because he was worried about her safety, but she was so happy. Su-Anna was immersed in her delusion and forgot that her wedding was tomorrow and the so-called rescue wouldn't arrive on time. "Anna, haven't you finished yet?" Gao asked impatiently. After coming back to her senses, Su-Anna quickly tore up the telegram, threw it into the trash can, and then left the post office. This time, neither of them walked, but hitched a ride with Zhang Ermu. When they arrived at the village, the villagers saw them walking side by side and thought they had mutual affection. This Gao, although he was ugly and lazy, his luck was good. "He is able to marry a city folk," one of the villagers said in amazement while clicking his tongue. It was normal for Su-Anna to marry him. After all, he saved her life and he saw her bare body. If she didn't marry him, who should she marry? An auntie said while cracking melon seeds. After hearing her words, a young woman said in a low voice, "It's not necessarily true that Gao saved her. Don't you think it's strange that so many caterpillars suddenly appeared in her room? Maybe this is Gao's conspiracy to force her to marry him." "Sister-in-law is right. Who doesn't know that Gao and Zyro Gao have feelings for Su-Anna?" Another woman added in a low voice. Hearing this, the villager smiled knowingly and said, "Speaking of which, wouldn't Zyro Gao have to call the woman he likes his sister-in-law from now on? I want to know what will happen to his relationship with his brother. After all, no man will be happy if his younger brother has impure intentions toward his wife. Even if Gao is unhappy, he will not fight with Zyro Gao over a woman," a middle-aged woman said casually. "Auntie, why are you so sure?" the young woman asked curiously. "I just know." That woman had no intention of continuing and said casually. "How does she know?" "Because she saw them doing that with a woman in an abandoned granary. That day, she was returning from collecting firewood at the foot of the mountain and took a shortcut when she heard strange noises coming from the building. Listening to the moans and screams, she thought someone might be injured, so she walked over to check the situation. But when she looked from the window, she was shocked and repulsed by the scene inside and almost vomited on the spot. If it weren't for her relationship with Grandma Gao, she would have reported it to the authorities. Extramarital affairs are a crime and disgraceful to the family's reputation. For the three of them, doing it together was no different from animals in heat. From then on, she began to alienate the Gao family. Now she looked at Su-Anna, wondering if she knew what was waiting for her after marrying Gao. Judging from Su-Anna's disgusted expression, she was definitely not willing to marry Gao. But as a woman, her reputation was ruined the moment she was seen nearly naked by Gao and caught by the villagers. Thinking of this, the middle-aged woman sighed and said, "Let's stop gossiping, so as not to cause trouble to ourselves." After hearing her words, the villagers thought that she was unhappy with them because of their good relationship with Grandma Gao, so they stopped talking about the Gao family and changed the topic. Because she was busy with her work, Lu Jiu didn't know about Su-Anna and Gao's marriage. At the moment, she is hanging clothes in the backyard. Although clothes can be washed in her own space, they still need to be dried outside. As soon as she finished hanging up the clothes, there was a knock on the gate in the front yard, followed by Aunt Li's voice, "Jiu Yu, are you at home?" Lu Jiu heard her voice and went to open the gate, and saw Aunt Li standing outside holding her grandson. Seeing them, she took a step aside and said, "Aunt Li, you're here, please come in." Aunt Li entered the house with a smile and said, "Jiu Yu, I came to visit unexpectedly. I didn't disturb you, right?" "Aunt Li, you are not disturbing me. I have nothing to do at home. It's great to have someone to chat with," Lu Jiu said as she led them towards the living room. Seeing the lush vegetables, Aunt Li praised, "Your vegetable garden is very big and well maintained. Your husband is indeed different from the people in the village. He is knowledgeable, handsome, and even grows vegetables better than others." Lu Jiu was very happy when she heard that her husband was praised. She likes others to praise her husband and said with a hint of pride in her voice, "Aunt Li, my husband is better compared to others because he was able to learn more in the military camp, but there are a lot of things we still need to learn. My husband and I still need the guidance of you and the villagers in the future. Aunt Lee waved her hand and said, no need to be so modest. Who doesn't know how good your husband is? Even those women still have wishful thinking about your husband. Lu Jiu knew that Aunt Lee did not mean any harm when she said this, so she did not feel offended with her careless words. After the two sat down in the living room, she poured them a cup of water and asked, Aunt Lee, what brings you here today? Hearing her question, Aunt Lee put the bamboo basket she brought on the table and said, my son is back for the holidays and he also brought some snacks. I know it's not much, but this is a heartfelt gift from me. Please accept it. Lu Jiu took the gift and smiled. Thank you, Aunt Lee. I have always wanted to treat you and your family to a meal, but I have been putting it off until now. How about having dinner at my place today? My second brother-in-law sent some meat this morning that is very suitable for braised pork. Aunt Lee originally wanted to refuse, but as soon as Shitu heard that there was meat to eat, he clasped his hands together and said, Grandma meat, Shitu wants meat. After hearing her grandson's words, Aunt Lee was a little embarrassed and looked at Lu Jiu awkwardly. Then I will inform my son and my daughter-in-law. Thank you for inviting us, Jiu. Lu Jiu smiled after hearing her words and said, Aunt Lee, you have helped my family before, so it is natural for me to treat you to dinner. We are neighbors. Aunt Lee was relieved when she saw that Lu Jiu still treated her as usual after listening to her grandson's words. After chatting for a while, she left and returned to her home with a smile. When her son saw her coming back, he asked, Mother, why are you back so soon? Jiu invited us to dinner tonight, and she said thank you for the gift, Aunt Lee said after sitting down. Hearing what his mother said, Lee Sang was stunned for a moment and said, Mother, do we need to bring anything later? It would be bad if we visit empty-handed. Aunt Lee thought for a while and said, Don't we still have eggs? Just bring 5 eggs over later. As soon as he finished speaking, Lee Sang's wife walked out of her bedroom and said, Mother, you just sent some roasted nuts. I don't think we need to bring eggs. Let's leave it for Shitu. Aunt Lee knew that her daughter-in-law was stingy and petty-minded, so she reminded her with a frown, Shitu's mother, it's just a few eggs. Is it necessary to be so stingy? It is impossible to have a good relationship with your neighbors if you are so calculating with them. What's more, why didn't you say anything when Jiu gave us medicine for Shitu's fever? I didn't hear you say anything when she brought those snacks, vegetables and meat over too. Now you're complaining about some eggs. Aunt Lee frowned and said with displeasure. Knowing that her mother-in-law was unhappy with her, Lee Sang's wife softened her tone and said, Mother, I just think that Lu Jiu and her husband are living better than us. These eggs are meaningless to her, but they mean a lot to us. Aunt Lee waved her hands impatiently and said, It's not our business whether they live better than us or those eggs mean nothing to her. What's important is our intentions to give something back to her. We can't keep receiving her gifts without giving anything in return. After saying that, Aunt Lee returned to her room with her grandson in her arms, leaving Lee Sang and his wife in the living room. Seeing his wife's dark face, Lee Sang sighed and said, Wife, what mother said is not wrong. We cannot take advantage of people's generosity and kindness. You must learn to be more generous like your cousin, and stop being so stingy and petty-minded. Hearing her husband's words, Chen Lina said angrily, Lee Sang, you know I hate people comparing me to Chen Anwen the most. How can you do this to me? I am your wife and the mother of your child. You should support me instead. After saying that, she turned around and entered her bedroom, closing the door with a bang. Lee Sang looked at the closed door and sighed. After being married for so many years, he still didn't understand why his wife hated Chen Anwen so much. The two are paternal cousins and grew up together. They even lived in the same house before they got married. He thought about their family relationship. It can be said that his family and Lu Jiu have a distant family relationship, but this connection is best left unspoken. After all, his wife treated Chen Anwen very badly during their younger years. He shook his head and continued reading, ignoring his angry wife. Meanwhile in her home, Lu Jiu didn't know that her dinner invitation caused a quarrel between Aunt Lee and her daughter-in-law, thinking about what to make for dinner. Since she couldn't show off her wealth too much, she decided to make a bowl of braised pork, a pot of egg drop soup, steamed buns, eggplant balado, assorted vegetable salad, and a plate of fried pole beans with oyster sauce. After she finished making the dinner list, Lee Chenmo came back from the production team's farmland. Seeing his wife eating cantaloupe, he walked over and leaned over to kiss her. He licked his wife's lips, savoring the sweetness of the cantaloupe. Although the kiss was brief, Lu Jiu earned 7.5 gold coins by completing her daily recurring tasks. In a good mood, she poured a glass of water for her husband and said, Husband, you came back later than usual. Lee Chenmo finished the water and said, I have to water the fields, so today work took longer than usual. Husband, Aunt Lee sent some roasted nuts and I invited her family to dinner tonight. Do you want to invite the second brother too? He just moved to our village not long ago, and it will be good for him to interact more with the villagers. After all, when he gets married, he needs the help of the villagers. Lu Jiu asked. Thinking about his second brother's plan to get married this year, Li Chenmo nodded and said, I'll ask him. The two sat in the living room, ate some fruit, and then went to Lu Jiu's space to take a shower and take a nap. After sleeping for a few hours, Lu Jiu woke up and went to the kitchen. There were more orders tonight than yesterday, so she decided to make some time-consuming snacks herself to make it easier later. With the help of Pan Magia and her sister-in-law, they would be able to make the rest of the pre-order before midnight. She took out the list and marked the zichui buns, peach buns, melon buns, spring rolls, jujube cakes, green glutinous rice balls, and lotus blossom porridge. While she was kneading dough with a machine, she made and steamed jujube cakes. While it was still steaming, the dough was ready, and she started making the buns. When the jujube cake was ready, she steamed zichui buns and peach buns. As for the melon buns, she baked them. After the buns and jujube cakes were ready, Lu Jiu made green glutinous rice balls dough in the microwave, which was much easier than steaming. While she was wrapping the filling, Li Chenmo woke up and went to the kitchen. Seeing that his wife was busy, he washed his hands and helped her make green glutinous rice balls. He would occasionally yawn, which made Lu Jiu smile. Even though he was very tired from work, he still helped her do her work. Although she felt distressed to see her husband so tired, she did not refuse his help. While working, Li Chenmo asked, Wife, do you plan to take the pre-order every day? No, I've already told Beiji that we will take 1 day off every week. Hearing her words, Li Chenmo nodded and said, the quantity of orders also needs to be limited. If you get sick because of overwork, it's not worth it. Thinking of the increasing order volume, Lu Jiu nodded and said, I will tell Beiji later. MHMM. After the green glutinous rice balls were wrapped, they wrapped the spring rolls and fried them. Afterwards, Lu Jiu cooked the lotus blossom porridge while she prepared dinner. The two of them took a hot bath and sat on the balcony to rest after they finished cooking. Sitting in the rocking chair, Li Chenmo glanced at his wife, who was busy counting their family's money. When he saw her bright eyes and bright smile, the corners of his lips raised. After counting the money and checking the ledger, Lu Jiu smiled and said, Husband, guess how much money our family has now? Li Chenmo thought for a while and said, more than 100,000. Hearing his words, Lu Jiu shook her head and said, we now have 486,999 yuan. In addition to 7 gold bars, we also have 52 gold coins, 348 pieces of jade, 42 famous paintings, and 189 antiques. Li Chenmo was surprised by their wealth and asked, Wife, when did our money become so much? Because we sell tonic wine. Since we have enough money now, it is good to limit our pre-orders. This way we won't attract too much attention. I heard from Beiji that some people are watching Huzi on the black market because most of their customers went to him. Lu Jiu said as she put the money back into the cans. Li Chenmo nodded when he heard his wife's words and said, I will talk to Beiji about it tonight. They need to keep a low profile now to prevent anyone from reporting it to the authorities. All right. After taking a short rest, the two left the place. Li Chenmo went to tell Li Lingyun about the dinner, while Lu Jiu was reading in the bedroom, waiting for the guests. When the sun went down, Li Chenmo came back with Li Lingyun and Pan Magia. When Li Lingyun accompanied Li Chenmo in the living room, Pan Magia went to the kitchen to help Lu Jiu. Seeing her coming, Lu Jiu smiled and said, Magia, you are here. At this moment, the kitchen stove is on a low fire to keep the dishes warm. Pan Magia saw meat, soup, and vegetables dishes and asked, Jiu, is there anything I can do to help you? I'm already done with the dishes. Now I just have to wait for Aunt Lee and her family to come over before serving the food. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Aunt Lee's voice coming from the front yard. Jiu, are you home? It's me. Lu Jiu went to open the door and saw 2 unfamiliar faces. He smiled at them and said, Aunt Lee, Brother Lei, sister-in-law, please come in. When Danu saw her, she smiled and greeted her. Aunt Lee handed her a small bamboo basket and said, Jiu, my hens laid some eggs this morning. They are very fresh and nutritious. Try them. If you like them, Aunt Lee will bring more for you. Lu Jiu took the egg and said, Thank you, Aunt Lee. You can just come. There is no need to bring any gifts. After entering the house, Chen Lina saw several ripe peaches on the peach tree and said, Sister-in-law, your peaches ripen faster than others. My son likes to eat peaches the most. Unfortunately, our family's yard is small and we don't have peach trees. Otherwise, my son can eat peaches every year to his heart's content." Hearing her words, Aunt Li glared at her, while Li Sang felt a little embarrassed. Lu Jiu smiled after hearing her words and said, "Since children like it, I will pick some for him and Danu later." When Aunt Li heard this, she quickly refused and said, "Jiu, no need. You've already invited us to dinner, how can we take your peaches?" "It doesn't matter, since children like it, let them have it once in a while." They entered the living room while chatting. Seeing the guests arriving, Li Chenmo stood up and greeted the guests while Lu Jiu went to the kitchen and brought out the dishes. Pan Meigia helped her bring the food and utensils over. Afterwards, she sat next to Li Lingyun and poured a glass of fruit wine for herself and her boyfriend. Seeing her acting like she was at home, Chen Lina snorted coldly and glanced sideways at her, which was noticed by Li Lingyun and Li Chenmo. Pan Meigia didn't know that she was being looked down upon, so she put the fruit wine in front of her boyfriend and whispered, "Brother Yun, try this fruit wine. If you like it, I'll ask Jiu to teach me how to make it." Li Lingyun was very happy that his girlfriend worked hard to learn to cook for him and said, "Don't be too tired." Hearing his words, Pan Meigia smiled and said, "Brother Yun, don't worry, I'm not tired at all. After all, I'm not learning to cook just for you." "Oh, apart from me, who else will my Jia learn to cook for?" When he whispered these words, his breath brushed Pan Meigia's cheek, which made her recall their passionate kiss yesterday. The tips of her ears turned red and she said, "Anyway, I'm learning cooking is not just for you." After saying that, she ignored him and focused her gaze on the food. She couldn't tell him that she learned to cook just so that their children could eat delicious food in the future, right? There was no way she could tell him these embarrassing words. After everyone sat down, Li Chenmo raised his cup and said, "Aunt Li, thank you for helping my wife. Please don't dislike these dishes and eat more." When Aunt Li heard what Li Chenmo said, she smiled from ear to ear and said, "What's not to like? These dishes are much better than what my family used to eat. What's more, Jiu's cooking skill is the best in our village, so I must eat more tonight." Everyone laughed after hearing her words, and the atmosphere was relaxed and warm. Only Chen Lina found her mother-in-law's words vulgar and embarrassing. After finishing their drinks, everyone started to use their chopsticks. Seeing the bowl of braised pork, Chen Lina quickly put a few pieces of fatty meat into her son's bowl and said, "My son eats slowly, let me help him get some dishes first." Lu Jiu smiled and said with a nod, "Children should eat more." Then she picked a few pieces of fatty meat, put them in Danu's bowl and said, "Danu, you too, eat more." Looking at the glistening fatty meat in the bowl, Danu was stunned. Normally, she was only allowed to eat the sauce, and all the meat went to her brother. Although Grandma treated her well, she only gave her 1 or 2 pieces of meat at most and doted on Shitu more. Her family was patriarchal, and as a daughter, she worked more and ate less. This was the first time someone had given her so much meat. She lowered her head and whispered, "Thank you, Aunt Li." She thought that with her low voice, Lu Jiu wouldn't be able to hear her, but after thanking her, she heard Lu Jiu say, "You're welcome. Come on, don't be shy and eat your fill." Lu Jiu found that Aunt Li and Chen Lina were concentrating on feeding Shitu, while Li Sang was concentrating on chatting with Li Chenmo and Li Lingyun. Danu's sense of existence is as low as if she doesn't exist, which made her frown. She knows that in this era, many people still have the idea of preferring boys over girls. However, when she saw this scene with her own eyes, she couldn't help but pity the girl. Seeing her thin figure and Shitu's plump figure, she picked out another dish for her and urged her to eat more. The children drank warm soy milk instead of fruit wine, so when she saw Danu had finished drinking her soy milk, Lu Jiu poured her another cup. After almost an hour, they had finished the meal without leaving even a drop of soup. Seeing the clean plates and bowls, Lu Jiu was satisfied. There is nothing more satisfying than people enjoying her cooking. Aunt Li Danu and Pan Meigia helped her clear the table and wash the dishes, pots and pans, but Chen Lina used her son as an excuse to avoid work and sat in the living room with her husband to chat. While working, Aunt Li said, "Jiu, my daughter-in-law has always liked this. If she offended you, I apologize to you on her behalf. Usually the housework is done by Danu, so she's used to not working at home." Hearing her words, Pan Meigia and Danu acted as if they hadn't heard anything. They washed the pots while Lu Jiu said, "Aunt Li, you don't need to apologize. You are the guest today." As soon as Aunt Li said this, she felt relieved and said, "Jiu, your cooking skills are indeed the best in our village. I have never tasted better food than what you cook." Aunt Li praised me so much. "I have loved cooking since I was a child, so I have more experience than others, that's all," Lu Jiu said. Aunt Li smiled and said nothing more. After cleaning up, Lu Jiu picked 2 peaches and gave them to Shitu and Danu. After thanking her and Li Chenmo, Aunt Li left with her family, while Pan Meijia and Li Lingyun stayed. It was almost 8 o'clock in the evening when Zhang Dongmei, Chen Anwen, and Wang Muxiao arrived. They went to the kitchen and got ready to work. Unlike previous days, today's order amount has doubled. Lu Jiu took out the pre-order list and said, "Sister-in-law Meijia, tonight we are going to make 600 thin pancakes, 400 sanzis, 300 chicken empanadas, 220 steamed buns, 200 scallion pancakes, and 80 zhongzi." They were very happy to hear the order. Although it seems less than before, because Lu Jiu made most of the orders in her space, these snacks are easy to prepare and they can earn more than 100 yuan each person. Since Wang Muxiao couldn't do heavy work, she was responsible for frying, while Pan Meijia helped them knead the dough. While frying sanzi in a brazier, Wang Muxiao asked curiously, "Jiu, you fry using so much oil. Won't you lose money selling fried food? What's more, we use white flour and a lot of sugar." After hearing her question, Lu Jiu didn't think her second sister-in-law was stingy at all, because in this era, this mentality is normal. She knew that Wang Muxiao had the talent to do business and explained, "Second sister-in-law, we are selling snacks, so we cannot be stingy with the ingredients. Otherwise, we will not be able to stand out from so many people and earn money. When doing business, we cannot be blinded by profits, but need to think further. The most important thing for us is to retain customers. You know that our snacks are much more expensive than others, but we still have a lot of orders every day. Do you know why?" she asked her. After hearing her question, not only Wang Muxiao, but Pan Meijia and others also thought about this carefully. After a long time, Chen Anwen said, "Is it because our snacks are more delicious?" Lu Jiu nodded in praise and said, "Eldest sister-in-law is right, so what makes our snacks taste better than others?" This time it was Pan Meijia who answered, "Because our ingredients are of better quality, and our cooking style and recipes are also better compared to others." Lu Jiu nodded and said with a smile, "Exactly. Even if we have good cooking skills and secret recipes without high-quality ingredients, our food cannot be sold at high prices. Not to mention, our food is bought by influential and wealthy families. For them, as long as they can get delicious, exquisite food, money is not an issue. A rough calculation shows that our snacks tonight can be sold for about 1,500 to 2,000 yuan. After deducting the cost, we can still earn about 1,000 yuan. This amount is almost equivalent to 2 years' salary of a factory manager. I think this amount is not small at all compared to the workload," she added. After listening to her words, they found that after making money for a few days, they began to feel that they were not making much anymore. But now, they realized that what they earn in one day is equivalent to 4 or 5 months' salary of a factory worker. Wang Muxiao nodded and said, "I understand now. Jiu, you are really good at arithmetic." After hearing her words, Lu Jiu used her husband as a shield again and said casually, "Actually, this is what my husband told me. I just followed his suggestions and still have a lot of things I need to learn." Zhang Dongmei smiled and said, "Jiu, I have always wanted to thank you. If you and the third brother did not give me these opportunities, my family might still be struggling to pay for our children's tuition. Now, my family has some savings." After she finished speaking, Chen Anwen, Wang Muxiao, and Pan Meijia agreed and nodded. Although Pan Meijia can make money by selling mushrooms and mountain products on the black market, going up the mountain is very risky, and she can only sell once every 2 weeks. Her monthly income is only about 100 yuan. Compared with it, the profits from selling snacks are much higher. She discussed this matter with Li Lingyun, and he asked her not to go to the mountains again. He went to pick mushrooms alone, while she concentrated on helping Lu Jiu. Since mushrooms could only be picked once a few days, she didn't insist on going with him. After all, her boyfriend knows the terrain of the mountains better than she does. Without her dragging him down, the risk of being injured is lower. After the order was completed, there was still time before midnight, so they decided to make more snacks for tomorrow. The Lu family went to sweep the grave at dawn, and the Li family went to sweep the grave at 7 o'clock. There won't be enough time to prepare the offering tomorrow. After they finished, Chen Anwen said, "Jiu, we are using your materials to make these offerings. You must deduct it from our shares because it was used for the Qingming festival." Knowing that they could not use other people's food as an offering, Lu Jiu nodded and said, "All right, it will be deducted from the shares later." Chen Anwen packed the snacks, put them in the bamboo basket and said, "Good, then we will take our leave now. You should go to bed early." "All right, thank you for your help, sister-in-law." When they walked to the front yard, Li Chen's, Li Lingyun, and Lu Han were already waiting for them. After seeing them off, Li Chenmo locked the door and went to the bedroom. When he entered the house, Lu Jiu had just put the snacks in the kitchen into her own space. She took his hand, led the two of them to her own space, and said, "Husband, you go take a shower first." While Li Chenmo went to take a bath, Lu Jiu went to pack snacks and lotus blossom porridge. There were 200 servings of porridge. She put them into jars, sealed the lids with a piece of fabric, and tied them with hemp rope. In addition to snacks and porridge, she also prepared a barrel of osmanthus rice wine and a barrel of peach wine. Each barrel holds approximately 40 liters of wine. Due to the rarity of wild honey, Lu Jiu does not sell it every day in order not to arouse suspicions. Today she brought out 10 jars of maple syrup in place of wild honey. She also prepared 10 kilograms of pork sausages and 5 kilograms of beef jerky. Huzi ordered beef jerky and pork sausage for himself. Since it was his order, Lu Jiu gave him the one made by her and not produced by her space. The taste is much better than the ones produced in space due to her cooking skills. However, due to the long preparation time and complicated process, she rarely makes it by herself. In addition, she also prepared several baskets of vegetables and a basket of fruits. They were filled with 20 kg of each type of vegetable. The rest was filled with 30 peaches, 5 watermelons, each weighing 20 kilograms, and 10 cantaloupes, each weighing 3 kilograms. After she finished taking a shower, Li Chenmo said, "Wife, I'm done. You go take a shower first." After marking the pre-order list and making sure everything was ready, Lu Jiu went to take a shower. They had a simple supper and then left the space. When they reappear in the bedroom, they spend their time reading a book while waiting for Beiji. Not long after, there was a knock on the backyard door. When Li Chenmo went to open the door, Lu Jiu went to the kitchen and took out all the bamboo baskets from her space. Every day when Beiji picks up a new order, he will bring back the empty basket and give her the previous day's income. In this way, Ding Sha doesn't have to visit her every few days, and she won't attract the attention of the villagers. Li Chenmo, Beiji, and Ding Sha entered the kitchen and saw her putting some snacks and bottles of fruit wine into a small basket. Beiji asked curiously, "Sister-in-law, do you need me to send those snacks and wine? If it's on the way, we can send them on your behalf." Lu Jiu smiled, handed the bamboo basket to Ding Sha and said, "I heard from Magia that there are 10 people under Huzi's command, so I prepared some snacks and fruit wine for you. Please help me give it to them." Ding Sha took the bamboo basket and said, "Thank you, sister-in-law. Everyone helps me sell my goods and works hard. It's just a small gift. I hope you won't dislike it." Lu Jiu smiled. Beiji glanced into the bamboo basket and saw 10 packages of snacks wrapped in oil paper, as well as 10 small bottles of peach wine. Knowing how expensive Lu Jiu's snacks and wine were, he was extremely happy and said, "Sister-in-law, this is what we should do. No gifts are needed." Despite his words being polite, his hands were honest. He took the bamboo basket from his sister and refused to let go. Seeing him like this, Lu Jiu shook her head and said, "When you send money tomorrow, you can bring some fruit back." Compared to Huzi's other subordinates, they have a closer relationship with Beiji and his sister, so it is okay to give them some fruits. After the goods were transporting, Li Chenmo saw that his wife was still packing some snacks and wine in a big bamboo basket. He walked over and asked, "Wife, do you want to send some food to your family?" Lu Jiu shook her head and continued to pack the food, saying, "No, this is for your comrades." Li Chenmo was startled by his wife's words. He did not remember that he had introduced any other comrades besides Zyro Zhang, who had sent him back when he was injured, to his wife. "Wife, it's too late to send these to the military camp now. More importantly, we can't send fresh food because it will take several days to arrive, and the food will spoil." Hearing this, Lu Jiu smiled and said, "It's not for them but for your comrades in the black market." A flash of surprise flickered in Li Chenmo's eyes for a moment, and then returned to normal. He put his arm around his wife's waist, leaned into her ear, and asked in a low voice, "Wife, how do you know I have comrades in the black market?" "Husband, I could see the way your comrades looked at me that day. In addition to being curious when he looked at me, he also looked at you with awe and admiration in his eyes," Lu Jiu said casually. Hearing his wife's words, Li Chenmo nodded and said, "Wife, you are really smart and observant." Lu Jiu was tickled by her husband's breath when he whispered in her ear. She nudged him gently and said, "Stop messing around. We should send it before dawn." Li Chenmo kissed his wife's earlobe, let go of her and said, "Okay." The weather is getting warmer, so it would be strange if they still wear a scarf. So Lu Jiu took out 2 bamboo hats from the space, which could be used to cover half of their faces. The two of them left the house from the backyard and went to the town on a bicycle. 30 minutes later, they arrived at the black market. As before, they found a secluded place. After putting the bicycle in her space and taking out the bamboo basket, they put on their bamboo hats and headed to the black market. Due to the Kingaming festival, many people came to try their luck to buy some snacks or cold food as offerings. As they walked, the scent of snacks wafting out of the bamboo baskets attracted many people to ask if they were selling snacks. Because they have already made an agreement with Huzi, they will shake their heads whenever someone comes to ask about snacks. Not long after, they arrived at the place of Li Chenmo's comrade. After knocking on the door, they waited for a while, and then the door was opened. Behind the door, a man with scarred eyes saw them and said in surprise, "Cap, Brother Li, what brings you here today?" "Please come in." When Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu entered the house, the man closed the door and locked it. He led them to the hidden tunnel and said, "Brother Li, sister-in-law, are you two here to buy food?" "No, we are here to visit you and others. We have to go back before dawn," Li Chenmo said. Lu Jiu was surprised by the tunnels and underground rooms they built. As everyone knows, most of the houses in these alleys are abandoned houses, and they are all very small. Therefore, for these people to actually dig several underground rooms to store food and goods without being noticed by the government, it shows that they are not simple. With these rooms, their chances of being caught by the government are lower than those of Huzi. After all, when they entered the house, there was only a small bedroom and a small living room. The house doesn't even have a kitchen. To access the underground, they need to pass through a hidden tunnel built into the wall behind the cabinet. When they came to the largest underground room, Lu Jiu saw about 20 people inside. Some were busy weighing the goods and packing them into sacks, while others were paying. Seeing them coming, those people also stopped what they were doing and greeted, "Brother Lei, you are here." Li Chenmo put the bamboo basket he was carrying on the ground and said, "Everyone, just be busy with your business. I'm just here to bring you some snacks." After hearing his words, they were all a little curious. They worked quickly, and after seeing off the last customer, they came over to talk to their captain. When they saw a young and beautiful woman standing obediently next to their devil captain, they were stunned. The man in the wheelchair looked at them and asked, "Brother Lei, is this my sister-in-law?" Hearing his words, Li Chenmo raised the corner of his mouth and said, "Everyone, this is my wife, Lu Jiu." After the introduction, Lu Jiu smiled and said, "Hello everyone, thank you for helping us last time." As soon as she finished speaking, everyone said in unison, "Hello, sister-in-law." Judging from the way they greeted her, Lu Jiu thought for a moment that her husband was a mafia leader. But when she saw that they all had scars and injuries, she knew they were all veteran soldiers. They may have been injured and forced to retire like her husband. In addition to admiration for their sacrifice for the country and people, her eyes only had a friendly gaze. Their impression of her doubled when they saw that she didn't look down on them because of their disability. She is indeed different from other women. Seeing them looking at his wife with bright eyes, Li Chenmo said, "Okay, stop looking at my wife and get your shares." Sensing the sourness in her husband's words, Lu Jiu chuckled. She pulled his sleeve to placate him and said to everyone, "These snacks and wine are all made by me. I hope they suit everyone's taste." Hearing this, everyone nodded quickly and said, "Sister-in-law, thank you very much." As soon as they finished speaking, they went to check the bamboo basket. When they took away the banana leaves, they saw several bamboo bottles and several packages wrapped in oil paper. They distributed packages and wine to everyone. Some were hungry, so they opened the package and saw 2 zhongzis, 10 green glutinous rice balls wrapped in banana leaves, a tube of lotus porridge, and 8 thin pancakes wrapped in banana leaves. Osmanthus rice wine is stored in bamboo bottles. Each bottle contains 500 ml of wine. They thought they could get some pancakes at most, so they were surprised when they saw the food. One of them opened the zhongzi curiously and took a bite. Lu Jiu's zhongzi has many fillings, including a slice of braised egg, a spoon of spicy marinate pork, several slices of sauté mushrooms, a piece of roasted chestnut, and some salted dried shrimps. The glutinous rice is fragrant while the fillings are savory and delicious. The zhongzis are as big as an adult man's fist, and they are very filling. Just eating one zhongzi is enough to satisfy an adult man's hunger. After eating the zhongzi, he opened the bamboo bottle and the aroma of osmanthus rice wine filled the room. After taking a sip, he felt warm in his stomach and his fatigue was relieved. He sighed with satisfaction and said, "Sister-in-law, your cooking skills are amazing. It's so delicious, I almost swallowed my tongue." Hearing this, Lu Jiu just smiled, and Li Chenmo said, "That is a matter of course. If my wife claims that she is second in cooking, then no one dares to say that she is first. Lu Jiu glanced at her husband in surprise. She had never seen her husband behave like this. Although he would show a bit of pride whenever others praised her, this was the first time she heard him showing off so blatantly like this. What she doesn't know is that these men all have one thing in common. They love to show off their wives and children. In the past, Li Chenmo could only shut up and listen to his comrades or subordinates praise how good their wives or how cute their children were. Now, when he finally has a chance to show off his wife, how could he let it go? Of course, he would let them know that he was a winner and no one could beat his wife. Like a peacock spreading its feathers, Li Chenmo glanced at his comrades with a proud smile on his face. While they longed to punch his smug face, they knew they could not win him in battle. Not to mention that they are all injured and inconvenient to fight now. Even at their peak condition, at least 4 people are needed to win over Li Chenmo, so they could only let him show off as they enjoyed snacks and wine. After showing off his wife, Li Chenmo finally said, "By the way, my wife and I plan to sell the grain after receiving it during the harvest season." After hearing his words, the man with the scar on his face asked, "Brother Lei, how much do you plan to sell it for?" After thinking for a while, Li Chenmo said, "We are going to sell all the grains. As for the price, we will just sell it at the market price." They were all stunned when they heard this, and one of them asked, "Brother Lei, if you sell all the grain, how will you pass the year? In addition to the coarse grains you get from the production team, are there any other staple foods you have?" "We have some extra food and it's enough until next year's harvest," Li Chenmo said calmly. Hearing his words, one of them said, "In that case, we will pick up the grains after the distribution day." After thinking for a while, Lu Jiu said, "No need to trouble you, we will transport the grains instead." While they didn't think it was a good idea, they didn't want to embarrass her, so they just looked at Li Chenmo, waiting for his decision. Li Chenmo knew his wife planned to use her space to transport the grains and said, "You don't have to worry about this. My wife and I already have a way to transport the grains, just make sure you have a place to store them." Since the captain said so, they can only listen to his arrangements. After all, he is the boss and everything goes as he says. After reaching an agreement, Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu left the black market and returned to Zai village. When they got home, it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. The two went to Lu Jiu's space, took a shower, and then went to bed. After Lu Jiu woke up from thirst, she took the 2 of them out of her own space and continued to sleep until dawn. When she woke up, the sun was just rising. After kissing her husband's chin, Lu Jiu finished braiding her hair and went to wash up. She went to make a fire and boil water first, and then went to the chicken coop. Opening the door of the chicken coop, she picked up the eggs and stored them in her own space. After filling the chicken feeder and water bowl, she went to water the vegetable garden. In just one day, peanuts, soybeans, and carrots have begun to sprout. Looking at the buds, she marveled at the magical power of her own space. After watering the garden, she went to the kitchen and turned off the fire. Afterward, she opens the pot lid, scoops the water into the drinking water jar, and lets the water cool. After finishing, she boiled another pot of water for her husband to wash up. At the same time, she started washing rice and cooking lotus blossom porridge. Today, they were going to the cemetery and climbing a mountain, so they need to eat more so they have the energy to climb. Besides the lotus blossom porridge, she also heated a basket of thin pancakes, a plate of green glutinous rice balls, and a pot of soy milk. When the porridge was cooked, Li Chenmo had already woken up and entered the kitchen. He hugged her from behind, leaned over to kiss his wife as usual, and said hoarsely, "Good morning, wife." Lu Jiu kissed him back and said, "Good morning, husband. Go freshen up and then we can have breakfast." MHMM. Li Chenmo yawned and took hot water to the bathroom to wash up. Seeing his messy hair, Lu Jiu found him cute and smiled. Not long after, she heard Dong Li's voice coming from the front yard. "Aunt Li, Uncle Li, we are here." Lu Jiu glanced out the window. The sky was not completely bright yet. She went to open the door and saw Dong Li and Dong Huang standing there rubbing their hands. Dong Li carried a bamboo basket on his back filled with wild fruits and flowers. She quickly let them in and asked, "Why are you here so early? You should get more sleep." Hearing her words, Dong Li smiled and said, "Good morning, Aunt Li. We come over to help you harvest vegetables before we go to the cemetery." "We didn't harvest vegetables today. Come inside and let's warm you up first," Lu Jiu said. She took them to the kitchen, poured them a cup of hot soy milk, and said, "Drink slowly, be careful not to burn your tongue." They took the cup and said, "Thank you, Aunt Li." After Li Chenmo finished washing up, they brought breakfast to the living room and ate together. While eating, Lu Jiu said, "Dong Li, there are some snacks in the kitchen. You can bring them to your parents later." Knowing that this was the good intention of Lu Jiu and Li Chenmo, he did not refuse and said, "Thank you, Aunt Li. My sister and I picked some wild fruits and flowers yesterday. We have separated the shares for you and Uncle Li." Lu Jiu nodded and said, "Well, thank you." By the time they finished their meal, the sun was rising over the horizon. They put snacks and rice wine into their bamboo baskets, locked the door, and headed towards the foothills. Every year, the Li family gathers by the river near the foothills and goes to the cemetery together. Because of the steep mountain roads, they rarely take children with them. The youngest one who went with them today was Dong Huang. As for the Li family, the youngest is the great-grandson of the granduncle. He is 12 years old and has enough strength to climb mountains with them. When they arrived at the meeting place, Father Li and the others were already there. Seeing Dong Li and Dong Huang, they were a little surprised, but they didn't say anything. Everyone knows that both of them are orphans, and their mother's family refuses to take them in, so if they don't clean their parents' grave, no one will clean their parents' grave. Fortunately, both of them are smart and know how to interact with people. When they saw the Li family, they all smiled and said hello politely. When the uncles arrived with their families, the sun had risen and the mountain road was illuminated by the sunlight. They walked up the mountain road while carrying bamboo baskets. Li Lingyan was afraid that the Dong siblings would fall, so he held their hands as they walked. Li Chen's and Li Chenmo held their wives' hands, fearing that they would slip. When the other daughters-in-law of the Li family saw how they treated their wives, their eyes turned green with envy. Dong Huang went to her parents' grave for the first time, so she didn't expect that the road was steep and slippery. She almost fell down several times and her back was covered in sweat. Seeing her pale face, Li Lingyan put down the bamboo basket he was carrying on his back and took out the food. Dong Li was confused when he saw Li Lingyan put the food into his basket, but when he saw him pick up his sister and put her into the big bamboo basket, he understood. Dong Huang is young and petite, so the bamboo basket is big enough for her to sit cross-legged. After putting the little girl into the bamboo basket, Li Lingyan said, "Hold on tight." After saying that, he carried the bamboo basket on his back, took Dong Li's hand, and continued to climb up the mountain road. He is used to mountain roads since he goes to the pig farm almost every day. To him, mountain roads are no different to village roads. Dong Li raised his head and saw Li Lingyan's relaxed look. He felt that he must exercise more to be able to carry his sister next time. While he was amazed, the people in the Li family, especially the cousins, were also shocked by Li Lingyan's strength and physique. They gulped when they saw his muscles tightened as he moved the tree trunk that was blocking his way. What's more, he was also carrying a little girl on his back. At this moment, Li Lingyan took the first place in terms of dangerous creature in his cousin's heart. Since they took the elders with them, it took them 4 hours to reach the cemetery. It was almost noon when they arrived, and they quickly set up an offering table in front of their ancestors' graveyard. Although it is called an offering table, it is actually a long piece of cloth spread on the ground, and then the offerings are placed on the cloth. Each family brings 1 or 2 dishes, which make the Li family have more offerings than other families. At the same time, Dong Li took his sister to his parents' grave. Unlike others, their parents' grave are located in a secluded place, far away from the grave of their maternal family ancestors. Dong Li spread a small piece of cloth on the ground and took out snacks, rice wine, wild fruits and wild flowers from the basket. After setting up the offerings, he and Dong Huang began to clean the grass and dirt on their parents' grave. When they are finished, the tomb looks neater and cleaner. The two knelt down and kowtowed 3 times before Dong Li said, "Father, Mother, I brought Zyro Huang to see you today. We are doing very well, so please be at ease and don't worry about us." He poured the rice wine into 2 cups and poured half of it on the ground while saying, "We are also going to school now. Our tuition is paid by Uncle Li and Aunt Li. They also bought us new clothes, bags, books, and stationery." Dong Huang looked at his older brother's red eyes in confusion. Although she knows this is her parents' grave, she has never met her mother and does not remember her father. Unlike Dong Li, who has the memory of her parents, she does not feel sad. To her, her family is her brother. Dong Li wiped his tears and said with a smile, "Father, Mother, we can eat 3 meals a day now. You see, we are fatter and taller, all because of Uncle and Aunt Li's help. So please protect and bless them." After a moment of silence, he looked at his sister and said, "Zyro Huang, say something to our parents." Although she didn't have anything special to say to her parents, Dong Huang still nodded and said, "Hello, Father and Mother. I am your daughter Zyro Huang. I'm 5 years old this year. please protect me and my brother so we can grow up faster. After saying the first sentence, she suddenly had a lot to say to her parents. She also showed the scars of Suanna's beating and complained, "Father, mother, look at my arms. It was that bad woman who beat me. If you have time, you must go find her and ask her to stop disturbing Uncle Lee or make Aunt Lee angry." Dong Lee listened to his sister chattering with a look of helplessness. He looked at the sun and said, "Zyro Huang, we have to go back soon." Hearing his brother's words, Dong Huang was a little reluctant, but she still nodded and said, "Father, mother, Zyro Huang will come to see you again next year." After kowtowing 3 times, they packed up their food and walked to where the Lee family was. When they came over, they saw the Lee family preparing to go back. Just like how they came, Li Lingyun put Dong Huang into the bamboo basket and carried her back. The trip back to the village was easier and only took 3 hours. Today is the Kingaming festival, and the Li family gathered at the granduncle's house for a meal. At first, Dong Li thought that when Li Lingyun arrived in the village, he would put his sister down and let them go home for lunch. However, when he arrived at the village, Li Lingyun still had no intention of letting go of Dong Huang. He had no choice but to follow the Li family back to the granduncle's house. When they arrived, Li Lingyun picked up Dong Huang from the bamboo basket, put her down and said, "Go and wash your hands, we will have lunch together." Now that they're here, it would be rude to refuse. Both Dong Li and Dong Huang went to wash away the dirt on their bodies with other children. As soon as the kids saw them, one of them asked, "Ha, I never see you. Who are you?" Dong Huang didn't know what to say and held her brother's hand tightly. Both are outsiders and feel out of place at this family gathering. Before Dong Li could speak, he heard Li Chen's voice, "Have you done washing your hands?" The children saw him and asked, "Uncle, who are they? I have never seen them before." Li Chen squatted down, looked at the children and said with a smile, "They are the foster children of your 9th uncle, so they are also your cousins. You must treat them well, do you understand?" After hearing his words, they remembered their 9th uncle's cold appearance and nodded. In the Li family, Li Chenmo ranks 9th, Li Chen's ranks 3rd, and Li Lingyun ranks 7th. Therefore, although the household registration has been separated, they are still called according to the family hierarchy. After knowing their identities, the children didn't bother them and rushed to the living room to eat lunch, while Dong Li and Dong Huang were stunned by Li Chen's words and stood there unmoving. Dong Li recalled that he never agreed to become Li Chenmo's adopted son. However, when he heard these words, he felt a surge of excitement and happiness in his heart. Sensing their gazes, Li Chen's turned around, patted Dong Li on the shoulder and said seriously, "Zyro Li, I believe you know the importance of adults in the family, so I hope you will not reject my 3rd brother's intention to adopt you and your sister as his adopted children." Dong Li lowered his head and thought for a long time. After weighing the pros and cons, he finally nodded and said, "I understand, thank you, uncle." Li Chen smiled and said, "Good. From now on, you are a member of the Li family. If you are bullied, you must find your uncle or your adoptive parents. Stop taking matters into your own hands, do you understand?" At this moment, Dong Li understood that Li Chenmo and Li Chen's knew what he did to Suanna. Fear and worry surged through him, and he quickly hid his hand behind his body. He finally felt the warmth of family again from them, and was unwilling to lose it. Seeing him hiding his hands, Li Chen sighed and said, "Zyro Li, what you did is wrong, but we understand that you did it to protect your sister and yourself. It didn't matter when there was no one who you could rely on before, but now you can't do this kind of thing anymore. You have to think about your own future and can't act recklessly. Don't ruin your bright future for someone who doesn't deserve it." After a long time, Dong Li finally nodded and said, "Uncle, I understand." Hearing his words, Li Chen's breathed a sigh of relief. This child still can be taught. He took out a tube of ointment from his clothes, took Dong Li's hand, applied some medicine on the red and swollen fingers and said, "Let's go, everyone is waiting for us." They walked back together and sat at the same table as Father Li. Father Li saw the Dong siblings and said, "Come, sit beside Grandpa." Dong Huang didn't understand what the actions of Father Li and the Li family meant, so she smiled and sat next to Father Li. But Dong Li and everyone understands. The 7th branch has made its intentions clear. Although Dong Li and Dong Huang have different surnames, they are their children. The news that the Dong siblings were adopted by Li Chenmo spread in the afternoon. It was precisely because some of the daughters-in-law of the Li family were jealous of Lu Jiu and wanted to make people think that she was infertile, that she asked her husband to adopt 2 children. After the family finished eating, everyone returned to their homes while Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu took the Dong siblings back. As they walked, Dong Li said, "Uncle Li, Aunt Li, thank you. Although my sister and I can't use your surname, we will be filial to you." Lu Jiu patted his head and said softly, "It's all right. However, I hope that both of you will come and live with us. Our house has many rooms, and your house needs repairs. More importantly, it would be easier for us to take care of each other if we lived together." Upon hearing her words, Dong Huang was delighted, nodded quickly, and looked at her brother hopefully. After weighing the pros and cons, Dong Li finally nodded and said, "Then let's follow Aunt Li's arrangements." Although he was reluctant to move out of the house he had lived in with his parents, the fact was that their house was dilapidated, and it would be dangerous to live there if it was not repaired. Now that they have recognized Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu as their foster parents, it would be bad to refuse their kindness. What's more, his sister is still young and needs a father's love and a mother's love which he can't give. Lu Jiu felt happy when she heard that Dong Li finally agreed. Besides pitying them, she also liked them. They are obedient, smart, hardworking, and very sensible. She had seen their house before and was worried it wouldn't withstand the rain or snow. As they walked, Li Chenmo looked at them and smiled. As long as his wife is happy, he will support her decision. Now, after they register the children's name in their household registration, they can become their legal guardians. Thinking of the household registration matter, Li Chenmo said, "Zyro Lei, bring your household registration book later. We will register you two under my name, which will make it easier for us to process your school documents." Dong Li didn't object and said, "Okay, Uncle Li." After they got home, Lu Jiu took them to their room. Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu's rooms were in the main building, while Dong Li and Dong Huang were on the left wing. They had their own rooms, and the rooms were adjacent, separated only by a wall. Dong Li's room is smaller, but has a kang bed that is 1.8 meters long and 1.5 meters wide, which is covered with blue bedding. The room is spacious enough for 2 adults, not to mention a young boy. There is a small table that can be used on the kang bed placed on the corner of the bed. There are 2 cabinets on the wall. The larger one is used to store clothes, and the smaller one is used to store bags, books, and other things. There is also a window with a blue curtain on the wall of the kang bed, which provides good lighting and ventilation. Dong Li walked to kang bed and touched the bedding. It's thick and soft. 2 pillows and a neatly folded blanket sat at the corner of the bed with the same color as the bedding. Seeing this, he knew that their room had been prepared since long ago. He turned to look at Lu Jiu and said, "Aunt Li, I like this room very much. Thank you. It's good as long as you like it. There are some clothes, socks, and hats for you in the cabinet. Your books are in the small cabinet," Lu Jiu said with a smile. Dong Li nodded and went to check the clothes. Opening the cabinet, he saw new clothes, socks, hats, and even a pair of new shoes. He felt his nose was sore and took a few deep breaths to hold back tears. While he was feeling moved, Lu Jiu was showing Dong Huang her room. Different from Dong Li's room, Dong Huang's bedding is pink. The pillows and blankets are also in the same color. Soft pink curtains hang on the windows to block out the sun in the summer. There are also flowers painted on her cabinets, which look beautiful. Lu Jiu looked at her stunned expression and said, "Zyro Huang, this is your room. Do you like it?" Dong Huang walked to the kang bed and carefully touched the bedding. She was afraid of soiling the bedding, so she only dared to touch the edge of it. "Aunt Lei, is this for me?" she asked cautiously. Lu Jiu patted her head and said, "Yes, everything in this room is for Zyro Huang." Dong Huang was stunned for a while and realized that this was not a dream. She smiled and hugged Lu Jiu's leg and said, "Thank you, Aunt Li. Zyro Huang likes it very much." "Good, now go take a nap. We'll need to move your belongings from your house later." After taking the children to their room, Lu Jiu went to her bedroom and saw her husband leaning against the wall, reading a book. Seeing her coming, Li Chenmo closed the book and asked, "Have they settled down?" Lu Jiu closed the door, climbed to the bed, and sat next to her husband. "Husband, thank you." Hearing her words, Li Chenmo chuckled and said, "What are you thanking me for? I also want to help them. It would be a pity if their talents were wasted due to their economic situation." Lu Jiu said nothing and took her husband into her own space. They took a hot bath and went to bed. Later, they still need to move the children's documents and move their belongings. After sleeping for 10 hours, Lu Jiu woke up naturally. After freshening up, she took her husband out of her space. While Dong Li and Dong Huang were still sleeping, Li Chenmo went to find Han Yuheng. Before he went out, Lu Jiu handed him a bamboo basket and said, "Husband, since we need his help this time, it doesn't hurt to give him a small gift." Thinking that Han Yuheng's recommendation letter was needed to transfer the Dong siblings' household registration, he nodded and said, "MHMM." After kissing his wife, he rode his bicycle to Han Yuheng's house, while Lu Jiu went to harvest the vegetables. She knew how greedy Han Yuheng was, so she only prepared a small jar of bamboo tea and a small bag of roasted nuts. If they give him something expensive, he won't be satisfied with a cheap gift the next time they ask him for help. Although the bamboo leaf tea is homemade, it tastes good. No one in Zai village makes it except her and Pan Magia. Therefore, this is a perfect gift as it is a rare item. Not long after, Li Chenmo arrived at Han Yuheng's home. Due to the slack period, he had nothing to do and spent most of his time at home resting. At this time, he was sitting on the bench under the tree. When he saw Li Chenmo coming, his eyes lit up. Unlike other villagers who came to see him mostly empty-handed, the Li family and the Lu family would bring some small gifts whenever they needed his help. Although he received some salary from the government as the team leader of the production team, the money was only enough to cover his expenses when going out to socialize. While his position could be said to be good, he is not satisfied and wants a promotion. Therefore, he needs to have some connection with the people in the brigade. Going out for a meal was necessary when building connections. After Li Chenmo parked his bicycle, he walked over and said, "Team leader, I hope I didn't disturb your rest." Han Yuheng stood up from the bench and said, "Comrade Li, what a pleasant surprise. What brings you here?" Chenmo took out a package from the bamboo basket, handed it to Han Yuheng and said, "Team leader, I want to transfer Dong Li and Dong Huang's household registration to mine. I want to know if I can get a recommendation letter." Han Yuheng took the package with a smile on his face and said, "Of course, it's just a small matter. Please come in." After following him into the living room, Li Chenmo sat down and said, "Then I will trouble the team leader." Han Yuheng poured a glass of water for Li Chenmo and said, "It's not a problem at all. Comrade Li, please wait a moment. I'm going to write a letter of recommendation." When he was alone in the living room, Li Chenmo looked around and found Han Liling peeking at him from the window. When he noticed that the little girl's eyes were full of unhidden meanings, he raised his eyebrows. At such a young age, her mind is already full of calculations. Thinking of this, he moved his gaze from her and took a sip of water. Tasting a hint of salty taste in the water, he frowned and put down the cup. Not long after, Han Yuheng came back with a piece of paper. Han Yuheng handed the document to Li Chenmo and said, "Comrade Li, you just need to bring this document and the household registration book to the brigade office." After taking the document, Li Chenmo stood up and said, "Thank you, team leader. I will take my leave now." "You're welcome. If you need anything, just come to me." Han Yuheng saw Li Chenmo off and looked at his bicycle with envy in his eyes. He heard from the brigade staff that the leader had previously given rewards to Li Chenmo and his wife. He wanted to know how much they got and what they did to get it in return. While others are struggling to fill their stomachs, the Li family's life is getting better and can even have a connection with the brigade leaders, which is really enviable. He sighed and returned to the house. If his younger brother followed his advice and worked in the brigade office, they might also be able to live a good life. Unfortunately, his younger brother was stubborn and decided to move to another city. He also brought that bastard girl with him. Didn't he already know that Han Lixue was not their cousin's daughter? Why did he still insist on adopting the only descendant of the Yang family? To this day, Han Yuheng still cannot understand his brother's thoughts at all. When he turned around, he found his daughter looking at him with her pair of lifeless eyes. He dislikes his daughter because she is the type that looks gloomy and has a dull personality. She never takes any initiative and needs to be told by others before doing something that really annoys him. He walked up to her, frowned and asked, "What are you doing here? Have you finished your housework?" Han Liling nodded and said, "Father, my work is done." "Then you go help your mother take care of your brother. Don't block the door." After saying that, Han Yuheng walked into the backyard while complaining, "She just knows how to be lazy, and she doesn't even have the initiative to help her parents. It's indeed a waste of money to raise a daughter." When Han Liling heard her father's words, she walked to her parents' room without saying anything. She was used to her father's hurtful words. One day she would prove to everyone that she was not a waste of money. She wants to marry a rich man and live in the city. When the time comes, she will see how regretful her parents are for what they did and said to her before. Since they loved her brother so much, she was going to spoil him rotten, let him never feel hunger or any hardship in his childhood. She didn't know what her brother would be like if he grew up in such an environment. Can he endure it when his parents cannot meet his demands? What will he do when that happens? Thinking of the future, she raised her lips, and a strange, twisted expectation emerged from deep in her heart. She opened the door, saw her mother breastfeeding her brother, and said, "Mother, I will take care of my brother after he finishes eating. It was time for you to rest." When Bai Lian heard her daughter's sensible words, she felt distressed yet grateful and said, "Zyro Ling, thank you for your hard work. You have had a hard time these past few months." Han Liling sat on the Kang bed and said, "Mother, it's not difficult, I'm used to it." Bai Lian knew that her husband didn't like her daughter before, but after her son was born, her husband treated her even worse than before. Her heart aches for her daughter, but she has no power at all in this family. People thought she was lucky, but only she knew that her husband liked to use violence when he was angry. She was beaten so badly that she didn't dare to refute her husband's words anymore, let alone defend her daughter. Han Liling knew that her mother was useless, and she did not dare to go against her father. Therefore, if she wants a better future, she can only rely on herself. After Han Changting had eaten, Bai Lian handed him over to Han Liling. She hugged her brother and looked at his pouty mouth and chubby face. Compared to her thin, malnourished body, the gap between them was like heaven and earth. She didn't know why her parents were so prejudiced against her. Obviously, she is much better than her brother. She is good at housework and farming. She is also very hardworking and never complains even if she doesn't have enough to eat. But why don't her parents love her? Just because she is a girl, she clearly never asked to be born in the first place. It was her parents who gave birth to her, so why should she bear such blame and harsh treatment? The more Han Liling thought about it, the deeper her hatred for her brother became. Her palms clenched unconsciously, hurting the baby. The moment her nails dug into his back, the baby burst into tears. Han Liling came to her senses in the midst of crying, and quickly concealed her hatred and jealousy. She quickly comforted her brother with a gentle voice, acting like a loving sister. Seeing that her daughter was so good at taking care of her son, Bai Lian felt relieved and decided to let her daughter take care of her son in the future. She closed her eyes and slept peacefully. She didn't know that the decision to let her daughter educate her son would become the biggest regret in her life. After getting the recommendation letter, Li Chenmo returned home. While helping his wife harvest vegetables, he waited for Dong Li and Dong Huang to wake up. After sleeping for an hour, they both woke up. Seeing that their foster parents were working, they quickly washed their faces and went to help. After the vegetables were harvested, Li Chenmo said, "Zyro Li, let's go to your home to get your household registration book and move your things." Dong Li wiped the sweat from his forehead and nodded. Unlike the previous use of wooden boards as seats, this time Li Chenmo tied a wooden cart to the bicycle. The cart can be installed and removed just like an extra seat. Seeing this, both Dong Li and Dong Huang were surprised by their adoptive father's thoughts. Seeing the cart, Lu Jiu said, "Husband, I think it would be better to add a roof to this cart. We can make it into a carriage, so that when we go to the county seat, Zyro Li and Zyro Huang can sit on it. It's safer than sitting on the wooden plank." After hearing what his wife said, Li Chenmo thought for a while and said, "Then we need to make a bigger cart. I made this cart just to transport goods." Thinking of the tricycle used by Beiji, Li Chenmo had an idea and said, "Or we can install 2 carts on both sides like a tricycle. In this way, we can use it to carry people and items at the same time." Because this era did not have as strict traffic rules as modern times, Lu Jiu nodded and said, "This is a good idea, but we must ensure safety." Dong Li and Dong Huang stood aside, listening to their conversation with wide eyes. They didn't expect their adoptive parents to be so innovative. No one had considered this before. They just think about buying a bicycle or a tricycle. In fact, they can improve their bicycles. Not to mention that tricycles are more expensive than bicycles. If they designed the cart themselves, it would be more flexible, and they could take it off when not needed and put it back on when needed. How convenient. After a brief conversation, Dong Li sat in the back seat, and they went to his house to get the household registration book and their things. Arriving in front of the dilapidated house, Li Chenmo parked his bicycle and said, "Let's go." Dong Li nodded and walked into the living room. As soon as he entered the room, Li Chenmo saw a table, 2 chairs, a small cabinet with a broken door and nothing else. Looking up, he saw that the hay on the roof needed replacing. Following Dong Li into their room, they saw the small Kang bed covered with hay and thin cloth. There are 2 bamboo pillows and a thin patched quilt inside. There is a small cabinet next to it, which is used by the Dong siblings to store their belongings. Dong Li rummaged in the cabinet for a while, took out a jar, and opened it. Inside is the household registration book and some coins. This is Dong Li's entire property. He took out an old piece of cloth and placed it on the Kang bed to wrap their clothes and belongings. Li Chenmo used hemp rope to tie up their bedding, quilts, and bamboo pillows. No matter how old these things are, they belonged to Dong Li's parents. He knew that the Dong siblings were reluctant to throw it away, so he brought it to his home. They have a lot of space at home, so bringing these things over won't be a problem. Seeing that he was carrying his parents' things back, Dong Li said, "Uncle Li, I will only bring back anything I can use." Li Chenmo glanced at him and said, "All right, you picked it out." It took Dong Li half an hour to sort the items. He did take away what was useful and left behind what was too old or broken and could no longer be used. After sorting out the items, there was only one pan, 2 pots, 2 cups, and 4 bamboo plates next to the bedding, quilt, bamboo pillow, and some old clothes. After putting the things in the cart, Li Chenmo tied them up with hemp rope and rode back. The villagers saw them moving the Dong siblings' belongings and started gossiping again. Seeing the old items tied to the cart, a villager sneered, "I said that Li Chenmo and his wife were planning on something, but you said I was jealous. Now you see yourself. If they had money, why would they take those broken items? Even the pots and patched quilts were brought over." Hearing this, another villager said, "I think the idea of adopting the Dong siblings should be Lu Jiu's plan. With Dong Li working in the fields, they can earn more work points and only need a small amount of food every day. In the end, any leftover food will be hers." After listening to her words, the villagers realized that what she said was possible. Everyone knows that Lu Jiu never does farm work and is also very picky about her food. It's normal for her to find ways to get more food. While the villagers were talking about them, Li Chenmo and Dong Li had returned and were unloading things. They moved clothes and belongings to Dong Li and Dong Huang's room. As for farm tools and utensils, they were moved to the kitchen and woodshed. After they finished, Lu Jiu let the children go out to play, while she and her husband went to her space. The two rested in the space for a while, and then Li Chenmo went to the brigade office. Since both Dong Li and Dong Huang finally had time to play for the first time, they were both at a loss. Often, they are so busy earning work points or looking for food that they don't even have time to take a short break. But now, they suddenly have lots of time to nap and even play. Since they had no friends, the brother and sister walked to the river and sat there watching the children catch fish and shrimp. Dong Huang watched with interest and asked, "Brother, can we catch fish too?" Dong Li looked at the river's current and said, "It's dangerous to go in the river. If Zyro Huang wants to fish, brother will help you make a fishing rod. We can sit on the river bank and fish at the same time." Although she was a little disappointed because she couldn't play in the water, Dong Huang always listened to her brother's words. So she nodded and said, "Brother, let's go catch some bugs for bait." Dong Li breathed a sigh of relief when his sister no longer insisted on going to the river. The two went to the foothills to catch some worms for bait. After that, they went to find bamboo and some dried vine to be used as fishing line. Dong Li chose a bamboo cane 17 meters long and 2 centimeters in diameter and cut off the base. Then he took out a small dagger from his clothes. He always carries this small dagger with him for protection. He used his dagger to trim away the leaves and nubs. Although the fishing rod must be dried before use, they only use it to catch small fish. So after he tied up the dry vine, they walked to the river. They chose a shady spot upstream, tied the bait to dry vines, and threw it into the river. The bamboo and dried vine they used were from near the pit where Li Chenmo kept pig manure. So, the insects that eat vegetation near the pits also become fatter and more attractive to fish because of the effect of the pig manure. Dong Huang looked at her fishing rod and didn't blink for a long time. Just when she thought the fish wouldn't eat the bait, she saw a fat fish swimming over. She didn't dare to take a big breath for fear of scaring the fish away, so she covered her mouth with her palms. Seeing his sister's actions, Dong Li looked into the river and saw the fish. He walked over with light steps and held the fishing rod. As soon as the fish takes the bait, he pulls the rod hard. Due to the sudden pull, the fish had no time to release its bite and was thrown to the ground. It flapped its tail and gasped with its mouth. When Dong Li saw the fish trying to return to the water, he quickly hit the fish on the head with a stone. After several times, the fish finally stopped moving. When Dong Huang saw this fat fish, she felt happy, clapped her hands and shouted, "Brother, we caught a fish." Dong Li was feeling happy as he tied the fish with a dry vine and said, "We can drink fish soup tonight." As soon as he finished speaking, he found another fish swimming towards his fishing pole. He put his finger to his lips to signal his sister to be quiet. Dong Huang held her breath and waited anxiously. Just like before, Dong Li pulled the fishing rod back as soon as the fish bit the bait. After successfully catching the second fish, Dong Li said, "Zyro Huang, this should be enough. Let's go home before the fish smells." Dong Huang nodded, and the two walked back happily. On their way back, they walked through the central area and were seen by the villagers. When the villagers sitting under the tree saw the two fat fish in Dong Li's hand, one of them said with a hint of jealousy, "If I knew those children were so good at fishing, I would have adopted them. Now all the benefits belong to Lu Jiyu." After listening to her words, Aunt Su laughed suddenly and said, "De Bairo's wife, you really have a good fantasy." The villager looked at her with displeasure and asked, "Aunt Su, what do you mean?" Aunt Su said casually while mending the clothes, "Although Dong Li and Dong Huang are still young and had no parents, they are both independent and smart. How could they agree to be adopted if Jiyu and her husband treated them badly? It is precisely because Jiyu and her husband were kind to them first that the children accepted them as adoptive parents. Also, have you forgotten how you treated the Dong siblings before? It's already good if they don't hate you." Aunt Su glanced at the villager and added with a smile. Everyone's faces turned dark when they heard Aunt Su's words, but they could not refute. After all, she was telling the truth. They worked so hard but only received 10 work points. Dong Li only completed half of the work but received 8 work points. They feel it was unfair and make them hate him and his sister, so they never treated them kindly. The villagers believed that since the Dong siblings could not do much work, the production team should give them 5 work points at most. Giving them so many work points, wasn't it equal to forcing them to support the Dong siblings? Therefore, they often insulted them in front of their children, causing the children to look down on Dong Li and Dong Huang and bully them. Seeing them being bullied gave the villagers some satisfaction because they felt superior to the Dong siblings. After all, they were able to survive only because of their charity. But now they are adopted by Li Chenmo and Lu Jiyu. In the future, they can no longer let their children bully them. Otherwise, the Li family and the Lu family might come to settle accounts with them. Just thinking about Wang Muxiao's unreasonable character already gave them a headache, so it's best to stay away from them. Although she knew that most people in the village were like this, Aunt Su still disagreed and felt that they were unpleasant to her eyes. She packed up the sewn clothes and kept them in the bamboo basket before saying, "My daughter is back today, so I won't accompany everyone anymore." After saying that, she left without looking back. If her husband hadn't told her to have a good relationship with the villagers, she wouldn't have bothered to talk to them. Each of them is always spreading rumors and talking about other people's affairs as if they were better than others. When Dong Li and Dong Huang came back with the fish, Li Chenmo had already gone to the brigade office, and Lu Jiyu was making peach wine. Now that Dong Li and Dong Huang are living with them, she has to be more careful. Showing them how she makes the wine will make them think the wine didn't just appear out of thin air. Seeing them coming back, Lu Jiyu smiled and said, "You are all back. There are some cantaloupes in the kitchen for you." Dong Li nodded and said, "Aunt Li, we caught some fish in the river. I put it in the basin." Lu Jiyu looked at the fat fish and praised, "You two are so awesome. The fish meat is plump and very suitable for steamed fish or fish soup. We can have it for dinner." Hearing her compliment, Dong Huang puffed up her chest and said, "Aunt Li, it was my brother who caught the fish. My brother is so powerful. We only used bamboo poles and dried vines, but we caught the fish." Seeing the simple fishing rod, Lu Jiyu was surprised and said, "Wow, Aunt Li has never used a bamboo rod to fish. Let's go fishing with your Uncle Li next time." When Dong Li heard her praise, he felt shy yet proud and said, "Then I will make 2 more bamboo poles for Aunt Li and Uncle Li." Lu Jiyu nodded after listening to his words and said, "Thank you, Zyro Li. You two should wash your hands first and then eat the cantaloupe. When your uncle comes back, we can have dinner together." Since it was their first day living together with Lu Jiyu and Li Chenmo, Dong Li and Dong Huang were still a little shy and timid, so they were very careful about what they said and did in front of her. Seeing them like this, Lu Jiyu said nothing and just smiled at them. She knew that not only the children, but also her husband and herself would need some time to adjust to their new family. She just hoped the kids wouldn't be too polite to them in the future. As a family, too much politeness will alienate each other's relationship. More importantly, she hopes they can grow up like other children and at least have some happy childhood memories. After washing their faces, hands and feet, Dong Li and Dong Huang took the cantaloupe and came to the veranda. They sat there eating while watching Lu Jiyu brewing wine and thought that life was so wonderful. At the same time, Li Chenmo sat opposite Comrade Jiang in the brigade office. Comrade Jiang looked at the recommendation letter and household registration book and asked, "Comrade Li, are you sure you want to register these orphans under your name? After you adopt them, they will become your responsibility, and the brigade won't help providing food for them in the future." Li Chenmo nodded and said, "I'm sure. Comrade Jiang, please help me handle the documents." Comrade Jiang looked at him and said, "Comrade Li, I noticed that you and your wife are still young. Both of you can have your own children. If you adopt someone else's child, the result may not be what you want in the future. As soon as Li Chenmo heard what he said, he knew that everyone thought he and his wife wanted Dong Lei and Dong Huang to be filial to them and support them in their old age. Only his wife and himself knew that they only did this because they felt it was a pity that the talents of the Dong siblings were buried due to poverty. As for the future, he believes that with his wife's space and his ability, they will not need anyone to support them in their old age. Even without his wife's golden finger, he is fully capable of creating his own business empire, an empire that is bigger and better than the one in his previous life. So he just smiled at Comrade Jiang and said, "I know, please help me with the documents, Comrade Jiang." Comrade Jiang looked at him and sighed. Since Li Chenmo insisted, he wouldn't say too much, lest he talk too much and annoy him. He processed the documents very quickly. In less than 30 minutes, the names of Dong Lei and Dong Huang were recorded under Lu Jiyu's and his. Next to their names, the words adopted son and adopted daughter are written.